Well, I guess it was bound to happen. How it even got on the chart or the radar, I don't. I mean, I'm referring to Madam Web 2024 hitting the theaters. Madam Who? Hmm. Been hearing about this. Um, Go watch it. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But Madam Who? That is not Madam Web. Oh, and neither is that in the background there. That's a ballpoint pen drawing one of my sketches from, I guess about 2008. Threw her in the back there. And no, it's not light boxed. No photo reference. It's the kind of thing that this comes out of my head, but a closer examination of the page and you would see the body, the way it's tilted and stuff, it looks a little bit out of joint. Like I said, no references, no light boxing. What a surprise it was for me recently to find out about some of the greats using light boxes, which I think is fine, which is great. It's just the thing that has taken place here in my development with drawing is that not knowing about those kind of things, I've been struggling to render realistic forms, right? So in a way, it was good because it disciplined me to be able to create forms off the top of my head. But in another way, you feel kind of ripped off, right? You feel kind of like maybe some of that time was wasted. And these guys, commercially, were incorporating light boxing techniques and photo referencing and all that. But anyway, didn't come here to talk about that at all. What I came to say is you can go see your Madam Web movie. That's just great. But that's not Madam Web. Well, we all know that. Most of us, anyone who's collected or has looked into the history of, will know that this has nothing to do with that Madam Web. It does have something to do with her. It's her youth, her childhood, that sort of thing. But I think we're more familiar with a different Madam Web. Know what I mean? I think you get the picture. Right? Warming you up. A lot of people seem to be. Their reference. I noticed it's been voiced online a bit. Their reference is more about the animated series that took place where they were first introduced to Madam Web. Mine was a little bit different. I mean, sorry, but there she was. I mean, it's a November 1980 issue, which takes us over to September of that year, which would make me 10 years old. And I grabbed it right off of the stand. It was a direct market issue, and I remember getting it from a place called Golden Age Collectibles, and that would be downtown Vancouver at the time. But now, I read this issue a couple of times in my youth back in the day, and the thing is, as I flipped through it again tonight, pulled it out of the collection, dusted it off. It's still in great shape. I don't know. It's probably I could probably get a 6.5 out of it, whatever. It's, whatever. Some of these are, they're kids' comics, so they were well read and knocked around and carried around for years. But one of the things I found that was interesting about this issue, fantastic, was the lineup on it. I flipped it open, and some people might be surprised to know that the artist was John Romita Jr. Now, in the early 80s, his work was taking on a different look than it did by the mid-'80s, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Like, by '84, it started taking on a new kind of look. But at this time, lined up with the great Joe Sinnott on inks, I mean, this stuff was looking great. So we'll have to give this a flip through. But before we do, I just want to mention something here and get this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save it. But first of all, I just want to mention, like, this is old school. We were buying these issues. We knew what was going on. This is Madam Web for some of our movie fans that might be curious about it. But anyway, they could find all that out anyway. But just the same, here is the actual issue. And we'll take a flip through. And like I'm insisting, this is Madam Web and not what you're seeing on the screen. But someone pointed it out to me. Right? That really, you should try to keep an open mind. Ideas are fluid, etc., etc. And I said, no, this is Madam Web. This is the real. Stop messing with things. Stop changing things. And then I learned a bit of a lesson. Let me explain. Now, the thing is, over here in this issue of the Eternals, this is a newsstand issue, July 77. So you're talking May-ish? May, when it was hitting the stand. 77. I was flipping through this just the other night, looking at some Kirby art and stuff, trying to, I don't know, been going through a lot of it, trying to come up with ideas of a binder gallery of some of his great stuff, just energetic stuff. This was, of course, when he had returned to Marvel, which is funny. I got to mention something here about this before I show how it relates to what I'm about to show you. I was discussing something about Jack Kirby and the dynamics and all this and how energetic his work was and how I learned to appreciate it as I got older and that sort of thing, like so many other people. But the guy looked at me. He must have been, I think he's 25, if he's lucky. I don't know. Could be younger than that. But he said, yeah, but Jack Kirby, you can say all you want about his drawings, but he didn't write. He couldn't write. Anyway, that's interesting. I thought maybe you might say, he couldn't write well because, by the time he got back here, this is exactly what he was doing. His project for the Eternals, he was writing, editing, and doing artwork. Like, I mean, that wasn't all. He was a creative powerhouse. It really was. And he seemed to have a lot of fun with things. Just touching upon this for a second. Also took another nostalgic flip through this guy here, an issue of Machine Man, number 6. Also Jack Kirby, art, writing, and he had fun with things. Like, it's funny. It seemed like he was, I don't know, kind of putting his thumb to his nose to tell a great story, have a lot of fun with it, lots of action, but at the same time telling you not to take it too seriously. Like, there's one guy, one of the characters in there, his name is, what was it? I think his name is 10-4, as in 10-4, good buddy kind of thing, a trucker thing, right? And who does that, right? And how does he get away with things like that? I think he was calling some more shots by that time, I guess. Or just having a bit more freedom. Hard to say. Yeah. So that's 10-4 and Kirby having a good time there. But getting back to this Eternals issue, when I flip through. I want you to keep this in mind, okay? Because we're going to go back to that in a second. And also keep in mind my insistence on who Madam Web is, okay? Some people may be onto this, but I don't think so. And because of the, the current buzz concerning Madam Web, I thought I'd throw this in here. It just happened by coinkydink, right? I kind of just happened upon it at the right time. I didn't even know there was a movie Madam Web coming out. When I heard of it, I just kind of rolled my eyes. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, I thought we'd take a look at this John Romita Jr. With a Joe Sinnott on inks. It's the stuff is great. Are you kidding me? I'll tell you, but after all those years from way back when, I wasn't aware of those artists at the time. I was aware of the work, right? The visual impact, but I didn't know the who's who. So it was fun for me to rediscover when I opened up and looked at the credits just what I was reading, who I was taking in at that time. But let's take a peek. Just a quick flip through. Not going to give a rundown on it, but just take a look at the art. That's what I'm concerned about at this point. And of course, the Madam Web. So there you have it. Cover. We'll begin. And might as well mention the writer is Denny O'Neil. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. And oh, what the hell. Might as well list the rest of the... That being... letterers, J. Novak, colors, B. Sharon, editor Al, too, Al Milgram in there. Yeah, there we go. That particular issue is The Prophecy of Madam Web. This is how she's introduced. So one more time. Story, Denny O'Neil, introducing the newest art team, Supreme. Yeah, I gotta admit, it's a pretty good combination. John Romita Jr. and Joe Sinnott together. Letters, J. Novak. Colors, B. Sharon. Editor, L. Milgram. Editor-in-chief, Jim Shooter. There you have it. Then on arrival at the big splash page where the lady in question is introduced. Yeah. Joe and John getting her done. Yeah, it's coming through. Another look there about what CBS was presenting us with as far as Saturday morning cartoons. Smart marketing, actually. That's, yeah. Let's see there, Fat Albert. And, the Drac Pack. Remember the Drac Pack? Anyone? Tarzan, the Lone Ranger. These were all cartoons. And Popeye had a showcase there. Tom and Jerry, all through the 70s, really. Yeah. Back to the good stuff. There you go. That's it. Yeah, this shot touches upon something that I often forget when I'm going nostalgic on these older issues. That's Car, folks. They're concentrating on that spider strength, which is one of those factors that quite often I forget about. When I don't always associate that with Spider-Man, the strength. Again, that's a car, right? Flip. Spider's web. Letters section. And why not take a break with some Hostess fruit pies or cakes or I don't know. Seems to be the thing to use to capture these red-faced aliens. Just ask Mr. Fantastic. And just to make a note about those ads for the fruit pies, those are Marvel artists, folks, and they'll explain that the characters in them are Marvel products, or Marvel, products of Marvel comics. And it wasn't just things like fruit pies. There were other ads, too, I noticed. Some of the toy ads. And one of them I came across. I'll have to put that up sometime. Were some action figure ads. And actually, I remember these action figures, even having a couple of them when I was a kid. But you can tell the art is by Kirby by the shapes of the mouths, the way the eyes are set. I'll get around to showing you that, and you'll have to, judge for yourself. It looks pretty obvious to me. But yeah, their artists that were being hired out, or advertising for. Why not? Just makes sense. But yeah, if you look closely, you can spot it. The artist's signature, Yeah. Yeah, so that takes us to the end page there. The generic army man, yeah. And so there it was, right? That's a 1980 issue where the lady in question was introduced. And sorry, got to tell you, that's the Madam Web. That is the creation, that is the character, that is the image burnt into most of the heads that experienced it for the first time as old schoolers. That's her, that's her, that's her, that, yeah. And then I came across something. Came across something in this particular issue the other night, the one that I mentioned here, Eternals 13. This one goes back a bit, I think about 4 years before the 1980 Madam Web issue hit the stands. Yeah, it was 77, anyway. And let's take a look at something. All apologies, friends. Don't let anyone from this point on tell you that the first appearance of Madam Web was in the November issue of 1980 of The Amazing Spider-Man. Turns out, this particular character, which looks nothing like the Madam Web I was talking about, was created for Hostess Twinkies ads. There she is, right before your eyes, being arrested by New York's finest, and Spidey zipping away. And the title of this ad/story, Spider-Man and Madam Web. It's right there in print. And that's 1977. That's 3 years before the actual introduction. Doesn't look like an old psychic hag, blind hag to me. Right? Does it to you? Things were, in the mix at the time. I guess they were, be interesting to find out what came first, this particular character or the Spider-Woman character drawn by Infantino later. But no, that's the original. Sorry, madame, but the proof is right there. There she is. And forgive me, folks, I don't know why on earth this camera is not focusing properly. I can try and maneuver things around there, but I think you get the general impression. There you go. That artist, I wonder who that is. 77. Does that look like an Andrew, does that look like a Ross Andrew drawing? Anyway, the point is, there's Madam Web. And no, this issue of the Eternals is not for sale. But, I don't know, weird things are happening online with appreciations, values, plunging, and they rise up when people get interested in something. But I think it's the month of the issue that should be centered on if you're looking for this particular ad. I'm sure this is something that Marvel would just like to disappear. And I guess it did, right down the memory hole, because I don't remember or recall anyone speaking about it. And so, if you look into anything July 77, right, from Marvel, you'll probably stumble across that ad and find the original Madam Web. So, whatever you're saying about Gen Z's revision of a younger Madam Web and how she came to be and all the whatever, and being combated by Generation X or even some of the boomers concerning the so-called original, maybe the advice I was given is something I should consider, and that, you know what, maybe it is good to keep an open mind, because you never know what you're going to find. Remember where you saw it. Perhaps other people know about it. I don't know. I just had to share it. The timing couldn't have been better. Anyway, take it easy.